Hey, how's it going? This is my name. Hello, I'm Keith Abagary, and you're listening to Video Game Bolt. Oh, excuse me. I got some video games coming on in my butt right now. Listen to them and enjoy.
Welcome to episode 122 of Video Game Pepsi Wave Bullshit.
I can only do it right-handed. I think I'd mess it up. No, okay. I got it.
Oh yeah, you got it. You got it. So, been another week, Tristan, recording a day late. But I do have today off because of Veterans Day weekend, which is nice.
Yes, sir.
And last week was a crazy week. I know it's been a while since you've been in the service, Tristan, but do you remember a PT test week? The
week?
Yeah, so like every
you guys
6
all
months
do it the same week?
Yeah, so essentially, twice a year, the Army does a PT test for the week, so you can get as much to 100% of the population as possible.
Yeah, sure.
So, but I'm also first sergeant in the unit, so we did PT tests Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, every morning. And I took a PT test with the soldiers, sometimes doing multiple events to motivate them. Yeah. I did. And we did a second one on Thursday. So I did 5 PT tests.
Dang, dude.
So I was a bit sore and tired over the week.
I bet. Yeah. And I mean, for us, we did it stupidly. Like it was all spread out for everybody. So it was just chaos all year round, all the time. Yeah. But for us, as you grow older, the requirements for passing the PT test were a little bit easier. So as a 42-year-old, I'm sure you don't have to take the same exact PT test as a 19-year-old coming in or whatever, right?
Well, the Army in its ever-loving wisdom had something for me, which is they changed the APFT to the Army Combat Fitness Test.
Okay.
And there's 6 events now.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's not just push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run anymore. And yes, we do 2 miles, not a mile and a half, Tristan.
I know, like us.
But here are the events we have to do now. We have to do a deadlift, a max repetition, 3-rep deadlift. We do a ball toss. We take a 10-pound ball and we toss it over our back.
All right.
We do push-ups, but we don't just do normal push-ups. We do hand-release push-ups. We go all the way out to the outside every repetition.
No. Gross.
You do a sprint drag carry. So you have to sprint. You have to do down backs. We sprint. You do a drag with 90 pounds. You do a lateral. You do a carry with kettlebells. And then you do another sprint. So it's like anaerobic activity.
Dang,
we do a plank. So you got to hold the plank.
For how long?
So it's a minute and a half to pass, 3 minutes and 30 seconds to max.
Ow!
And I could do like 8 minutes because I do DDP, Diamond Dallas Page yoga. I do DDP yoga. So I could do a lot of that. And then after all 5 of those events, then you do your 2-mile run.
Yeah, fun. I bet your heart's racing after that too.
And I did 5 of those last week with myself.
Oh my gosh, man.
And multiple events. So I jump down and max the plank with somebody, then I go to the next lane and do the plank with another and keep going.
Like just listening to you talk about it's making me sore. Dang.
Hey, close to retirement. Close to retirement.
Did you ever hear what the Air Force did like before our PT test, like our push-ups, sit-ups, and a mile and a half run that we do?
You, showed up to work.
Almost. So we had this thing whenever I first came in for the first couple years. We had this thing. It was called the Ergo Cycle. It was basically an exercise bike that they would ramp up the intensity, and you'd have chest monitors and all this other stuff. So it would just pay attention to your heart rate and whatever. I don't know what it was looking at. I always passed it, so I didn't care. But typically, if you were in super good shape, you had a really rough time with it. But if you were a chain smoker, you're good to go, man. So, and I'm not saying that I was a chain smoker. I was actually, I passed that test just fine. But Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous thing. I have no idea why we were doing an ergo cycle instead of real exercise. But I think the Air Force is going back to that sort of thing now instead
Chair
of
force.
the traditional. Yes, the chair force. We earn that moniker. We do.
Yeah.
In some cases.
And so then you mentioned like the PT standards doing that reverse bell curve where I'm in my old man stage now in the Army.
Yeah.
I am in the 6th age category now in the Army. And ironically, because it's the ACFT, the run times have went drastically slower because you have 5 events before it. So to put things into perspective, I had to, when I joined the Army with just the APFT, the 3 events, I had to pass at about it was about like a 15 minute, 36 second 2 mile.
2 miles, yeah. I always have to keep that in mind because, like, you know, I'm just so used to the 1.5 miles. Like, that's what I've got in my brain.
Now, if I run that, that's almost maxing for me. So, being old combined with they changed and have the 5 events before it, I do like a 15-15 still, and I'm getting 98 points or something ridiculous. So, and that's me doing all the other events before it. And I'm like sitting here in pretty good shape and I can knock it out. Now, mark my words, a couple years I'll be retired and, you know, just let the DD-214 take me. Let the forms take me. Let the retirement take me.
Yeah. Do they measure the circumference of your waist as well?
If you are overweight, yes. So the Army, probably same as Air Force, has a height that you have to be and a certain weight based on your height. So for me, I'm 6'1". I have to be under 215 pounds or something like that. I'm 188 pounds, so I don't have to get taped. And it might be down to like 208 now. But either way, though, it depends if I'm at 6 foot or 6'1". And with compression on my spine over the years, I've shrunk an inch sometimes, and sometimes I haven't. But yeah, I do make weights, and I didn't used to though. Back when I was a drill sergeant in Texas, I was 228, and so I had to get taped. And the Army used to do it neck, waist, neck and waist.
Really?
Yeah, they go around your neck and go around your waist. And then females, they also go around the hips. But within the last year, they only do circumference of the waist now, parallel over the belly button. So those Army dudes with the giant necks, saving their butt, big old bellies, are getting in trouble now.
Sure.
Because it's really interesting and really funny.
And these folks listening to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I'm 3 years removed from the Air Force, so I don't want to say let myself go, but I'm not in PT, passing shape. That's for sure. So we'll just pretend I
saw a picture of you with Terry Diebold, which is going into one of your books, and you are like you're slim body over.
I used to be a lot skinnier. Yes.
Well, and I'm not going to
back to that.
Well, I'm not going to say that I'm going to maintain my current rate of physical fitness once I'm not required to by the government. Like we're literally paid.
It's a pretty big, it's a pretty big motivator to not get kicked out of the military. You know, you got to maintain. I mean, you got to be battle ready.
Exactly, and that that's why people are here to listen to us talk about battle ready military stuff and not video games, right?
Well, yeah, obviously,
of course. So what have you been up to this week? And then I'll go over, I got a couple things in the mail. We can go over some stuff. What have you been up to though, Tristan?
Sure. I actually took a couple notes so I didn't forget anything. Nice. Let's see. I actually accomplished my college orientation. So now I have to schedule an appointment with an advisor so that I can sit down and talk about all this stuff. Because they, on my admission stuff, they want to say I need to take a math and an English placement. I have a bachelor's degree. I disagree with them. So I will be talking to them about this. And then this past weekend on Saturday, I actually had a whole bunch of people over. I love having people over to play video games every once in a while. And we had kind of a game tournament nice. Where I had people play 5 different games there were two different teams, and then everyone's score combined, determined what team won. So you had to win. Each team had to win 3 out of 5 events to be the overall winner. We played Toe Jam and Earl to see who could get to the highest level in 10 minutes.
Ooh.
I got the best freaking RNG like ever. And you play random world, so it's not like the fixed world. I got to the 10th level in 10 minutes. Like, I was blazing fast, and I whooped everybody's ass. Like, the closest person was on level 6. Like, several people. Yeah. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the fastest time on Royal Raceway, which is, an N64 track, so everyone's pretty familiar with that one.
Pretty good with that.
League Bowling on Neo Geo on my MVS cabinet.
Let's bowl.
I love that game. On my Play Choice 10, I had everyone play the Nintendo World Championship.
Okay.
That's fun. Then on my Xbox 360 kiosk, I had Tetris the Grandmaster Ace.
Shit.
Keyed up. Yeah. I feel kind of bad because, I'm a ringer when it comes to that game. So, like, we did both scoring, like, for everybody on the team. And then I did scoring, like, I knocked out the top score and the bottom score. And then either way, my team won. So I don't feel bad putting that game in there.
How many people actually played?
It was 6 on each team. So we had a dozen.
Wow. You had a bunch of people over.
And we had more than that not playing. So I had about 18, 19 people over.
Dang.
Like, in my basement. It got kind of warm down there. Yeah.
I do notice that we talked about Toe Jam and League Bowling recently, so we're having a little bullshit influence into your
but
game.
Yes, now. I got a trophy.
That's amazing.
That's my pickup for the week. I got a trophy.
Nice. No, that's wild. The game nights are awesome. Like,
it's so much fun, man.
It's one thing moving around right now, where I don't have a homestead. Like now, like neighbors, none of them game or nothing. So,
well, that's one of the things I was thinking about. I'm like, I was thinking, it sucks that you're so far away because I know you would enjoy something like that. Like,
Well, like back in the day, we used to, when I was in Indiana recruiting, we did Retro Raiders, which we had a bunch of local gamers coming by, JD and Wiz and a couple of my buddies. Mm-hmm. And every week we would play. And we would play League Bowling. We actually had a scoreboard up on the wall where we'd have our high scores, and we'd play something every week. And it'd be like a Wednesday night. We'd all just hang out and play some games, and it was a good time. Like the Homebrew World Championships was our bread and butter.
Yeah,
I think we may have set the world records on that because of such a newer game at the time. Like we would literally go back and forth.
It's crazy because you were part of that whole Nintendo age thing. I wasn't. So that's kind of near and dear to your heart. I'm sure being able to play those games were made for Nintendo age.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So one last crazy thing about that game night, I forgot to say. I invited, so like Ben's Game Zone is our local game store.
You have to sing it.
Oh, Ben's Game Zone.
There we go. Ben's Game Zone.
I remembered.
Yeah, did it.
I went to Ben's Game Zone. So this older guy, he's like in his 50s. But he's a collector, really nice guy named John. I'd only met him like 3 weeks prior, but we kind of hit it off. I invited him to come over, and he invited one of his friends to come over, this girl named Barbara, who I'd never met. So we get to talking, and he's like having me show her like my book and stuff like that. And she's like, "Wait, your name's Tristan Ibarra?" Like, I know a Tristan Ibarra. I'm like, wait, what? Like, that's a really unusual name. She's like, yeah, a friend of mine, that's her husband. I'm like, what's your friend's name? Natalie. I'm like, that's my wife. Like, they worked together.
Random.
Barbara and my wife. It was like small world kind of stuff. It's just mind blowing. So I was trying to get my wife to come downstairs. She was like hanging out with the cats upstairs, trying to keep them from being stressed out. And finally, I convinced her to come down, and like they were both, kind of incredulous that this coincidence happened. But it was funny. It was really funny. It's out of nowhere.
Random people showing up, and your wife doesn't know who's in the house.
Yeah. She didn't know that she was over at her friend's house, and my wife didn't know that her friend was over at her house, and it's just funny.
It's wild.
Yeah,
it's crazy stuff, man. Yeah, like we were saying though, like it'd be nice once I'm stateside, I'll be able to back on the mainland, be able to start hanging out. Of course, you'll still be in Nebraska. I'll be in Florida.
Exactly. It's not like it's that close, but
no, still cool though.
Yeah,
still be cool. So I did get a few things in the mail. Nothing too crazy. I did get a game from Limited Run finally. Trip World.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, Trip World's a cool one made by Sunsoft. Like the classic reimagining. It's like a DX version, essentially, a colorized version of an old game. Picked up this classic, which is like a classic Square RPG. I was doing year 3 of my book and of the Switch book, and this popped up, and it was released in August 22nd, but it's a really good action game. So,
really cool artwork on that. Yeah,
it's a really cool one. Can't even remember the name of it as I'm going through.
Oh well.
And then I get to get in Cult of the Lamb,
dude, people have been waiting for that one for a while.
And apparently, it's going to be taken off due to the Unity stuff eventually. So
yeah,
but they did a nice foil on it. Classics, nice. Special reserve doing their thing. Then the final piece that I did get, which is a cool thing, is did you know that in the Nintendo store in Tokyo that they have these little gachapon machines that have Nintendo controller pieces?
Oh, come on.
And they have Nintendo and Famicom.
Okay, that's freaking cool.
And they have the buttons, they have the plus, and they have obviously the D-pads, which I got.
Is it just like little fidget things or what?
Yeah, that's it. It's just little fidget things. So this is the Famicom Player 1. And then this is an NES, and these are the D-pads, but they also have the buttons. They can have the A button, the B buttons, and they have the pause and select buttons as parts. So this is the actual width of a Nintendo controller. You can only get them in the Nintendo store, so eBay has them.
Of course.
Got them on the eBays. They had both of these together as one, so I was like, well, let me get these because the D-pads are the best ones anyways to me. But
you might have froze.
I did not freeze, but it's all good. Yeah, but super cool. Got the little D-pads from Nintendo store, which is awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. So what's in the news, Tristan?
Well, off the top of my head, and we were talking about this before, the OLED Steam Deck, which was inevitable, was actually confirmed and announced or however they did it. I didn't see any sort of timeline. I did hear about the pricing. What was the higher end one, like 650 or something like that?
There's a collector's edition. I think
there's a collector's edition. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's 650 or 680 or something. And the OLED screen looks awesome. The higher end one,
imagine
they upgraded to I think a terabyte in the storage. They put in a larger fan, which means it'll operate quieter. And they put in a bunch of other bells and whistles that make it like really, really essential. Like it's like, for example, when you resume from like turning it on and off, it's been shorter. There's like a lot of awesome features. Now, I had mentioned this before we recorded. Now it's going to have to be gotta convince me to buy it aspect. And it's not for the reason that you think. To me, this upgrade's well worth it. It's well worth it for all the bells and whistles. My thing is that I'm a tinker. And I like to mess with things and I like to optimize my gear, my Steam Deck and everything. So my Steam Deck, I've put in hundreds of hours just tweaking things and making all the games operate perfect and have the right images and all that. And just thinking about starting that over with another one seems like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, that would be fun.
And I focus on retro games anyways, and indie games that have a retro aesthetic that are smaller form factor anyways. So I am not entirely sold on getting it, but if my wife buys it for me for Christmas, I'll be stuck.
Does she listen to this podcast?
She does sometimes and sometimes not.
Wink, wink, hint, hint.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's just one of those things where I love the Steam Deck. I play that probably more than my Switch at this point, and it would be tough though for me to start over from scratch.
Yeah. Especially for how long the other one's been out. And were you an early adopter of the Steam Deck from the beginning, or no?
Yeah, I pre-ordered it day one and got it like one of the first ones to get it in the mail and all that stuff. So it's been an early adoption, fun time for it. And to me, it's like I know from my PC to the Steam Deck, my settings and all my stuff doesn't transfer over well. So it's just one of those pieces where there's options and settings that I have on my Steam Deck, and if I can't just easily one-for-one transfer it, it's like upgrading a cell phone. At this point you walk in with a cell phone, you take it in, they just flash it one-to-one, you got your whole phone back on the new phone. If you stay within the same console, like if I go from Apple to Apple.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like Google, if you're going from the Apple ecosystem to like Android ecosystem, but, you're transferring over like Google accounts, obviously that's not going to be affected. But if you've got like Apple contacts and Android contacts, they don't really play so well together. So I see what you're saying. And, you saying something about like, ease of use whenever it comes to like transferring over. That reminds me of like Nintendo just recently said that they were going to do something to ease the transition to their Switch 2 in some way, but I wasn't sure. I didn't really dive into that. All I saw was the headline. I don't know if you heard about that or not.
No, I mean, it makes sense that they would want to make the transition easy, but even with their cloud-based system, like everything doesn't transfer over. Like I know Animal Crossing saves don't work quite how you'd want them to and stuff like that. And then like even when I went and adopted the OLED and my wife bought me the OLED Switch, it was like all my saves, like every time I start a new game, I have to like download the cloud save. It doesn't like automatically do all my cloud saves. Yeah. So it's kind of a pain when you have hundreds of games that you play. But
the very fact that they said that, they came out and said that makes me hopeful that it will be backwards compatible with Switch games. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would they say that if it wasn't?
Well, exactly. So it's got to be some kind of pattern, some kind of transition. Fingers crossed that it is backward compatible, so we don't have to restart.
Nothing's worse than like going to like a Nintendo 3DS for well, no, that's not the best example. Well, see, Nintendo DS at the very beginning, I remember getting that thing, and all I had to play was Metroid Prime Hunters, like First Hunt, that demo. And then eventually, like maybe a week later, Super Mario 64 DS came out, but it was barren. I mean, like there was nothing to play. So backwards compatibility is so important on a new console.
When you have thousands and thousands of games on the Switch, though, I mean, it makes it simple. I just wonder if the eShop will be one-to-one compatible, or you're going to have to like rebuild the eShop from scratch on the new Switch, because that'll be a pain.
Yeah, and as we've seen with Nintendo time and time again, they just because you buy, say, Super Mario Brothers 3 on one ecosystem, it doesn't mean that you own it over on this other ecosystem. Their own ecosystems. What the heck?
It's very true. Well, the thing is with the new
same thing so many times.
With the new Nintendo account though, and indie games, as long as it plays on the console, it should be you should transfer your license that you purchased. Just imagine how many games that we have on the Switch, and if you had to rebuy all those games, it's a bar at that point. Like that is
you're absolutely right. There'd be a revolt.
Yeah. I mean, but they might have to a convenience upporting charge or something like Nintendo would do.
Oh, they totally would. That's so Nintendo. They would do that.
So there is that. By the way, I don't think we talked about it, but like, how are you doing for news on your video game book that you're working on?
Oh, my video game book. So this past week was kind of rough as far as like motivation goes. We were talking last podcast, like when the motivation strikes, go for it. But I've just been a lull, dude. Entire week, and it's not even a hard library to put together. I've been working on the Wii for a week now. I could have had it done in a day if I had the right motivation. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's wild.
Maybe I was just doing too much too fast and just burnt myself out. I think that's probably the case.
Hit like a wall.
I did. Yeah. But I want to get it done before Super Mario RPG comes out because, that's going to take some time out of my life.
That's exactly it. And like I've been working on 2 books. I'm working on the Complete Genesis and then the Metroidvania Chronicles that we announced last week. And a lot of people hit me up on DMs and stuff, which is awesome. Keep the feedback coming in. I love it. And so I went through, finished out the Legacy and the Classics, which I think I mentioned last week, all the retro stuff. Now I finished, yesterday I finished out the entire Modern section. And as you're doing design work and some of the more complex layouts, things happen. And I've found a way to make these screenshots about 75% larger. And so I had to rework all my layouts again to make them all flow. But it looks freaking amazing now. And so finished that out. All I have left to finish the core 150-page book now is my abnormal games, which is the unconventional games, like a robot named Fight, which fits in there because it's like a Roguevania. Working on the Metroidvania Chronicles and doing updates. I had mentioned that I had finished the Modern section and then upgraded all of the intricacies of the layout to make it more high definition. A 75% increase on all the screenshots, which looks really nice. Especially considering that within it, I'm doing a bookazine format, so it's going to be like a Reader's Digest size. So having a little more real estate on the screenshots is going to be important, so you can see the details and everything.
Yeah, and one thing that I was going to say before we were so rudely interrupted by Skype, which we were ditching from now on, is that's one thing that people don't realize is what a manual process it is to do most of this like layout work. If you're going to have everything like cookie cutter, then you only have to like design each page once or twice in InDesign. But, Jeff and I don't like to make it cookie cutter. So it's a really manual process. And one thing that I've always like considered doing, and it's hard to convey to people just how much time is put into these projects. Have you ever considered doing a time lapse of yourself, like putting together, this like bookazine or one of your books or something like that?
Well, I mean, it would be interesting because, for example, my Genesis book that I mentioned earlier, I've been working on that for 6 years. So that'd be a 6-year time lapse every time I looked like moving across country. I think I've moved 3 times since then.
Sure, yeah.
That'd be interesting. So you talking about like recording like me working on stuff or recording the screen?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, recording the screen. But I mean, we're talking like 1 frame every minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So it's a time lapse, to the viewer, it'd be like a, 2-minute video finishing up your entire book or an entire section or something like that. Just to give a sort of idea how much goes into it. I mean, I've always been curious and thought about doing that myself. And I'm sure there's software out there that makes it easy.
Oh, yeah, probably. It'd be very interesting to see. I wouldn't be adverse to it, but it'd be wild. The Metroidvania Chronicles I've put together relatively fast and had, a hair at my butt writing some nice reviews and making sure that they're edited properly. So now that is going to be a thing where community's still going to have the opportunity to contribute. So that might add a few pages, but it's at 150 pages right now, Tristan.
Wow.
Yeah.
150, and it started out as what you said, 80? It was supposed to be?
Yeah, like 80, something like that. And then I realized that if I want to show off the screenshots correctly, and be able to read the text. Readability is important in the smaller form books. I had to double my page counts for each review, each game. So the other piece is that I decided that with the upcoming games, I'm only going to write about what is provided by the developers. So, for example, going into the Beastmaster game, because there's a new Beastmaster Metroidvania. Going in there, I'm only using from what the developers have provided, and then I'm going to use a few screenshots to make it look cool. Have a two-page spread, and that's all I'm doing on those. Whereas each game is going to have a 4-page spread, two different flip for it, so that way you can see the intro, who developed and published it, and then you go to the actual meat and potatoes of the review. And they're heavy reviews. It's not just like a collector's book abridged and all that. So
not like mine. Yours is a real like meat and potatoes book. Mine's a very surface level.
Yeah, and I mean this first volume is going to have the tried and true classics of Symphony of the Night and Super Metroid and Hollow Knight, like the usual suspects. But that's also why I want the unconventional section. And I figure as I go forward, I might pick out smaller, bite-sized ones in the future, do some other sections as it pops up and pops out at me. Because like the legacy section, for example, that's just in the first volume. Because after that, like the legacy ones are done. Now we're going into modern, retro, and then I might further categorize it as we go and have fun with it. And as readers want something, I will do like an article on something. For example, in the Super Metroid one, I'm talking about the randomizers and the world record scene in there as an article. Cool. So technically, there's 6 pages on Super Metroid. It's a little bit bigger. So,
well, on the topic of Super Metroid, I have one important question for you. Kill the animals or save the animals?
Always save the animals.
Yeah, thank you. Same. There's always time to save the animals.
So, interestingly, I'm looking, and I think that for some reason my device is not looking like it's plugged in. So,
oh really? Everything looks good on my end.
Yeah. But it is plugged into the wall, so I am going to plug it directly into the wall just because it's playing shenanigans.
Yep.
I don't know. Do I not have power in my house right now? Classics. I mean, now I'm plugged all the way into the wall, and if it ain't working now, I don't know what to tell you. There we go. Let's see. But I just want to make sure that, we don't lose anything.
Yeah, for sure.
There we go. Now it's plugged in. Good. All right. You're having all sorts of video game bullshit technicalities today. But yeah, no, Metroidvanias are my favorite. I did play a new one that I got as a Kickstarter backer. It's called, I think it's called 9 Years of Shadow or 9 Days of Shadow.
Huh. I hadn't heard of that one.
Let me look, because I did get a Kickstarter update. I don't want to say the wrong name of it. It is 9 Years of Shadows.
9 Years of Shadows.
9 Years of Shadows. It's a Metroidvania. It was just released on Switch. I backed it on Kickstarter, so I got a code. I did mess with it a little bit this weekend. It's fun. It's cool. Prepping for, Super Mario RPG. I'm trying not to dig into anything too meaty.
Yeah, dude.
But I went through, played and got to a couple save points. It's awesome. It's an awesome game. It'll definitely be something that I'll be covering in the Metroidvania Chronicles in the future.
And that's what's such an awesome thing about your idea, and I can't believe it hasn't been done before. So I'm glad that you get to be the one to blaze the trail, because there's no shortage of Metroidvanias. That genre has been around for how long now? We've been doing it for decades.
Well, and there's certain people that coined the term and utilized it.
Absolutely.
But, the genre itself, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, is technically a Metroidvania. There's actually a game that I cover in the book, even older, for Commodore 64. It's called Below the Root.
Below the Root.
And that one is like super rudimentary. And so I want to cover different games that you may not have heard of too. I'm looking at some Japanese PC 88 games and stuff like that.
Excuse me just 1 second. It's just out of reach. But you mentioned Commodore 64. During that get-together, I actually hooked up my Commodore SX64 with a Metroidvania. That was a homebrew. I've got to show you this one. Maybe you haven't heard of it. I'm not sure.
Soulless. Knight and Grail.
It's Knight and Grail. You have heard of it.
Of course. Yeah, I have a copy of Knight and Grail. Knight and Grail's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good, man.
And getting all the different armor upgrades in Knight and Grail to where you change the color of your character and the different attacks, and you can sit there and mess with it. Like it's a very well put together Metroid.
Jeff, it's almost like you know your stuff. Like you're qualified to write about this or something. I
do love the genre. I'm not as good as some though. I'm not a Souls like person when it comes to all that stuff. But I do enjoy it. I'm a filthy casual when it comes to gaming. I love just playing stuff.
Oh well, a filthy casual with passion. It's the passion that matters.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's exciting that you're doing this genre because there's never going to be any shortage of things to write about.
Well, and then concurrently, whenever I hit writer's block on Metroidvania, I then pivot over and I started reinvigorating some efforts into the complete Genesis book. And I've been getting those writings done too. But then I realized, Tristan, that through the US games, I had stopped doing all the titles and all the categorization that I had already done research on because I already have a spreadsheet for it. I stopped about halfway through the alphabet. So I had to go through from like N or M or wherever and go all the way to Z. Ouch. So you type in every name, developer, publisher, how many players there are, every single game. I got it done.
It's a manual process, people.
I got it all done this weekend, though, which is crazy.
There's a lot of data entry.
And now I got the reviews through G done. So I got through G, writing nice little paragraphs. Now, I do have standard phrases that I use that I repeat that I used to get lectured on by my old editor, John Miller. John Miller used to edit my shit and get on me about, you always use experience. Or I'm like, I do tend to have my go-to words.
Everybody does. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And there's only so many ways that you can describe a run and gun. You know what I mean? Like, there just is.
I try to hit the nuances. The other thing is that there's 140 to 150 bullshit sports titles that go into its own section.
Love it.
So that way I'm not writing about those, but they're all going to be categorized. So if you want the bullshit titles, all the FIFAs, all the Maddens, all that crap, I'm not writing about those. It's in its own section. If somebody wants to cover NHL 94, they can as a contributor in the back, and they can write about.
So is it all sports titles or just some sports titles?
I only include non-traditionals in the main meats and potatoes. So your NBA jams, hockeys, the weird ones.
All right, so
I include.
Yeah, so the one specifically that I was thinking about was Super Baseball 2020.
Yes, that is included in the main book as well. So anything that has a gimmick to it, for example, we published Super Blood Hockey. It's not a hockey. It's not NHL freaking 2023. It's Super Blood Hockey. That has a gimmick to it. So anything that has a gimmick to it, I'm including. And then the rest go in the back. And it's like literally right behind the Z's. It then it's bullshit sports titles. And I have a whole Genesis sports branding in the section and everything.
Nice.
And then it'll have stuff like, just anything that I'm not super interested in, like NASCAR racing and stuff like that. Stuff that I wouldn't be interested in necessarily collecting for. Also, the games that would be like a quarter to $1 when you see them at a game store. And so I just include all those in there. And then, I'm going down into PAL exclusives, Brazil exclusives, Japanese exclusives that are interesting in US that are playable, homebrew stuff, bootlegs. It's 600 pages, dude. It's insane. And I had already laid this all out 5 years ago. I'd promoted in the Army since then, dude. And so it was something that I thought I had gotten further along than I did as I started digging in, and I'm like, oh crap, this is going to take a lot more data entry, as you called it, than I had reasonably thought about. But I am going to utilize a few sources since Sega Age, Nintendo Age doesn't exist anymore. I'm going to look at other different websites, reach out to them, see if they want to contribute any articles, but also utilize them as a source and source them. Sega Retro is one that they're great.
Yeah, awesome website.
Yeah, and so I'm going to utilize them for confirmation of data. So, for example, I'm going to look, and I found some inaccuracies even with theirs when I was going through how many players are in a game, and it'll say something like, this is a 2-player game, and it literally says in the back of the box 1 player. But they may count like link cable or stuff like that. So I'm looking into the details. And it's a bit of a process, man. Every single one's a bit of a process. It takes
always, dude. But it's so rewarding once it's done, because you only have to do it once. Unless you plan on, in theory, unless you plan on doing, a
definitive edition, like I did
something like that, but
doubled the frickin' size, and that's in printing, by the way. I got confirmation it should be shipping soon, so that's awesome. I'm waiting for it to arrive. When it comes to ship, freight shipping from overseas, it goes on a freighter and sits at the ports. And ever since COVID happened, 3 years ago now, they still haven't figured out how to, get it a little quicker. Yeah. So I'm literally waiting to ship everybody their books and everything. I haven't gotten my advanced copy yet, which I know that means it hasn't even started the long, lengthy process, but I know it's done. I want to get a copy in. Once I get my copy in the mail, it's going to be, I'm going to show it off here. And,
heck yeah, man.
Maybe we'll do like a little YouTube video, a little teaser too, like a single video YouTuber for the website as well.
Absolutely. Do a teaser.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Freaking craziness, man. Freaking craziness. And then that's in or out. It's been wild.
Well, one thing I forgot to mention about my books, and so I took kind of a break of working on the book itself because, every time I finish up a section, that section's done. I don't have to worry about that anymore unless I have some editing to do. But one of the last big sections that I finished up was the PlayStation 2. I have a lot of friends that are PlayStation 2 collectors, and they had been asking me for, a separate guide for them so that they could write in it. Mm-hmm. So, that got the wheels turning and or the gears turning. I got some bookbinding equipment. I can, I've got my own printers. I've got a couple LaserJet and an inkjet. But on my LaserJet, I can print out the entire library of whatever console somebody wants. Use my bookbinding equipment to make a nice, neat notebook for someone to use, and then they can use it for their collecting. Because someone if they buy my entire 4-volume books, isn't necessarily going to want to write in those if they're a collector. Yeah, I would too. That's just me. Because it's my books. It's not like I'm going to resell them or something like that. But a lot of people wouldn't want to do that. So, for them, I actually, on my website, vgcollectorguide.com, I have them available for purchase now. And
now, the one thing I want to say is that it's not like Tristan put up like PlayStation 2. There's like 30 freaking like it's he went crazy.
There's 49 of them available right now.
Like
49.
I went there and I'm like, oh my god, there's so many like ones, and you're like charging like reasonable prices.
It's 22 cents a page is what it comes out to, and I really tried to minimize like how much shipping you're going to pay. So if you're only buying like one or two or whatever, it's gonna fit in a bubble mailer. It's only going to cost you $5 in the United States to get shipped to you. So it's pretty reasonable.
And this is like meant to be, it's not fancy. It's
not collector grade. I will say that up front. It's not collector grade, but I mean, it does look nice.
Oh, it looks awesome.
But it's not collector grade, no.
Yeah, but it's still, though, it's an awesome way for somebody who just wants, the Armstrong CPC to put.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're, collecting the entire Mega Duck or Cougar Boy library, then I got you covered.
Yeah, we can get the whole Cougar Boy library and you'll be cougared out.
That's right. You can play Snake Roy your heart's content.
Dude, it's like so wild, the depths and the details you went into with these books. Like, it's just wild. Crazy.
I can't wait to have those in hand, dude. Seriously.
The term that we've talked about on Video Game Bullshit, Tristan, it's called scope creep.
I knew you were gonna say that.
we gotta get you like
I should have that my book subtitled like the Video Game Collector's Field Guide Scope Creep Edition. Like it's so true.
I mean, your memoirs, how scope creep affected my life.
yeah. It's just. I should be called the Scope Creep.
Now, the other piece is, though, Tristan, you've actually published books, so you do at least get them out there. Whereas there's some people out there with Scope Creep that just never release their items, or that takes forever.
Yes, exactly. I've come to a point where, yes, it has slowed down the process a little bit, but it's a more complete product that you're going to be getting.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think it's well justified.
Yep. And it's awesome. And the thing is that I like to work on a few things concurrently. Ironically, there is a book that I need to get to print, that I need to get off my butt, that I've been procrastinating on.
Oh, I know which one.
And people have pre-ordered. Which book is it, Tristan?
The Black Box Challenge.
The Twisted Realities. I need to get that sucker done. And the artist did finish the cover. So I do have the cover done. And so that is the next thing I need to do, which I'm going to try to get done before the new year and get it into printing. It's going to be a pain, though, because it's a lot of layout, a lot of work. And every single time, as we mentioned earlier, when I change something and optimize, I have to change all the pages. I've done that multiple times with the Twisted Realities. And there are people now that have taken my format and copied it and did their own little choose your own adventure style. So I'm like,
yeah.
Look, lovely people. Now, one thing I don't have done with the Metroidvania Chronicles, Tristan, is I don't have a cover yet. So I have to do a cover still. Because if I'm going to Kickstarter, because last night I also did finish the Kickstarter page for the Metroidvania Chronicles. I finished all the meat and potatoes, the text. I need to work on all of the different mock-ups and everything for the page. I don't have a cover yet, so I got to contact a few of my buddies who do art and see if anybody has an opening to get something done this month and do something awesome. I'm going to message a few of the usual suspects and see what I can get.
Good deal. They always turn out amazing, so you'll probably hit up Thor and your other folks that usually do your awesome covers.
If Thor's available, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of that, I might just have see who else is available, not at a million conventions and doing lots of stuff.
Exactly, I know. Always busy.
Yeah. And if they are, then I'll figure out something else. I would like to not just create a general cover. I don't like doing that. I like to have artists do stuff with it. Now, the Genesis one was done by Thor, and it was done 5 years ago. Very cool. So it's awesome looking. It's a classic one. But yeah, that's the updates for the books. Should we get back to news?
Sure. Okay, so you brought up the other thing that I forgot to write down.
So Nintendo had tweeted about a Legend of Zelda live action movie coming out. And it's an interesting perspective because everybody's hoping, and I hope too, that is a mix of practical and digital effects. I hope that they do like a combination. And the thing is, they already have a tried and true way to do this that I actually really like, and that's the Witcher series. I don't know if you've watched.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I'm a huge Witcher fan.
Love it.
Yes,
I love that show.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So you imagine if they have Legend of Zelda combined with the style of The Witcher.
Oh boy, that's what they need to do. I hadn't even considered that, but man, yeah, the grittiness and the realism and just the way they integrate, like, you know, the lore and everything. Man, that would work so well. And hopefully, and didn't they actually say who is going to be directing?
They might have said the director. I didn't catch that.
But yeah, I don't remember, but I think they didn't. My question
for you, though, is do you want them to stick with a tried and true story that's already been told in the games, or do you want them to create something new for this movie?
So you're talking to someone who's not. I mean, I'm a fan of The Legend of Zelda, and they've done a good job throughout the entire genre, the entire like lineage of the Zelda games, of telling these really good stories. But I would like to see something new as a gamer who's played them.
I hope that they don't do something new, because if they do, it'll turn into the Legend of Zelda cartoon. Excuse me, princess.
But
excuse me, princess.
They better say that at least once, just in passing or something. Easter eggs. Like I know I want it to be gritty and serious, but I would love.
You want jokes?
Yes, there's gonna be jokes.
Yeah,
he'll say it. He'll say it.
To me, I'm hoping that we get something in the canon of the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom universe. I hope that it continues that, and then I hope they take that and then apply a little bit of Castlevania Netflix magic on it, because they took Castlevania, they did Rondo of Blood and Castlevania 3, but then they sprinkle in more modern pieces to it and expand the story. That's what I want them to do. I want them to take what's already going on with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, imagine it in real life. Kind of like another example is what they did with One Piece.
I'm not familiar with One Piece enough to talk on it, but
so One Piece, they took the anime and on Netflix did a live action mix of practical and computer effects, and they did it amazing. Even if you're not a fan of the cartoons, like, you can watch the show and get a lot of enjoyment out of it. They did a 1-for-1. I want them to do like a little bit of, Witcher combined with One Piece, because One Piece has some humor in it, so they could do the Excuse Me, Princess. And I feel like there'd be a time and a place where you could have, especially if you're doing the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom universe, there's some lighthearted portions in there that you could do, the Kilton sections and all those stuff where you just have fun with it. And so I feel like, and Tingle, and I feel like you could really. I
was thinking Tingle too.
Yeah, and you could really go over the top, because if you just go straight with like A Link to the Past, it's a strict, serious story the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there are a lot of Zelda games that have no humor. That are just a serious story, like, it's the end of the world. Majora's Mask, my gosh. You know what I mean? Like, it just, the world's ending and everything's shit, and like, you're the lone hero and you've got no help, and good luck, buddy.
Well, and then so the other piece is, who do you see playing the actor and actress for Zelda and Link? And then the other piece is, does it be like, because everybody keeps posting Tom Holland and stuff, but like, Tom Holland couldn't go there and not do one-liners. Link is a silent protagonist by nature, but does Link talk? That's the other question. So who do you think should be the actor and the actresses, and should Link talk?
Being ridiculous, I'm going to say Chris Pratt and Scarlett Johansson. but seriously, it's going to be someone I think that we have not seen before. It's not going to be, unless they go the Hollywood route that they went with Mario Brothers movie, which I don't think they're going to do. They're probably going to go with some overseas talent we've never heard before.
Oh, I mean, I've seen lots of, casting on social media. The one that I liked is the one girl that plays opposite of Scarlett Johansson in Black Widow. She plays her sister in the show.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like she would do good. She's a smart ass, which is good too. Mm-hmm. And I feel like she would be a good one, especially if they go into the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom, where Zelda's a stronger female representative.
Yeah,
which,
for sure.
I mean, that's a new modern trope. Is we don't have the damsel in distress, so I think she
absolutely
would be
not.
good. I can't think of what her. I think it's Pugh, Florence Pugh.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's her name. But I think she would be a good representation for Zelda. For Link, I mean, honestly, if you had Henry Cavill style acting in it, not him as Link, because that would be dumb.
No, yeah.
But
Link
in The
is
Witcher,
not jacked.
But in The Witcher, he doesn't talk a lot. He does some, but he doesn't talk a lot. So if they do that style of a Link, but Link's not like huge muscles. That's where like everybody keeps going to Tom Holland. But
sure, I can see where they're thinking Tom Holland, but I mean, like, honestly, did you think Tom Holland whenever you thought Uncharted?
No, and I didn't really like that movie that much either.
Yeah, me neither.
But I don't know if they would have played Link.
I don't either. I mean, but if you're talking about Hollywood caliber people who are already proven,
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham.
The Rock will be Link.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I honestly think it's going to be, we're going to be surprised, and it's going to be someone that's not proven in that way. Not going to be like a Hollywood star like, Chris Pratt was for Mario. And to your point about the damsel in distress and how that trope is gone. I mean, like, the proof is right there. Like with Mario, Princess Peach has always been the damsel in distress. They absolutely did not go that route in the movie, so they will absolutely not go that route in Zelda either.
No,
there's no way.
I mean, and that's the thing, though, is that it'll be actually ripe for a new actor, and it may not even be a new actor. It might be somebody who's sitting there in a bunch of different movies that just isn't as known as a big AAA actor.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, I think of like the new Star Wars trilogy, how like all of these actors came out of that and have established themselves through that fame. And I mean, they're really good actors. It's people I'd never heard of. Maybe other people have heard of them, but I'd never heard of them before those new Star Wars movies started coming out.
That's Star Wars in general. Nobody knew really who Harrison Ford was until Star Wars.
True. Yeah. No. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah. In hindsight, that's a very good point.
He was just an American Graffiti back in the day, and that was it. And that's also George Lucas. But
so I really think there's no shortage of actors who have the physique of a Tom Holland that have some acting chops. So we're going to see someone that we've never heard of before, or maybe is lesser known.
Yeah. And and the thing is if they do that combined with not a serious attitude, but like a realistic attitude for the different overarching world and story. And the thing is, if it's just a movie and not a series, I mean, they're going to have to do some kind of strict progress, right? Like it can't, because it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours to tell the story.
Well, it's not going to be like freaking the Legend of Zelda cartoon where it ends on a cliffhanger and never ends. Oh, that made me so mad as a kid, dude. Like the very last episode ends on a cliffhanger and that was it. Never got any closure.
Well, if you follow the comics... Was it the comics? I don't think I have it with me here, but I do have the comics. The thing is, if you follow the Nintendo Power comics, they definitely keep going with the story of The Legend of Zelda. A little more gritty, too.
Yeah.
I remember when they actually had the Captain N episode where they brought in Link and Zelda. That was an amazing time.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really cool. Huge Captain N fan here.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, that'll be the next thing that I want to see is a Captain N the Game Master movie after this. I want to see it. I want to see it with all the terrible tropes in it too, like Mega Man.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Growling and stuff.
Well, let's see. Who would you have to have on board? Nintendo owns Kid Icarus,
Capcom.
Game Boy. You'd have to have Capcom for Mega Man. You'd have to have Konami for Simon. Yeah.
And then we'll just throw in the Power Team while we're doing it too, because
why not?
And get Bigfoot in there and Kuros and
a modern. Okay, so who's on the modern Captain N team?
Ooh,
instead of a Game Boy, you got a Steam Deck.
All right. So what do we do for the modern Captain N team? Let's do this. This is the VGBS topic. Modern Captain N the Game Master.
And let's just go one for one. Who replaces who? Because Mega Man's out now. Who takes Mega Man's place?
Who takes Mega Man's place is Sans from Undertale. Okay,
yeah, that's good.
So we got Sans.
Yeah, that would be some comedic relief right there. Obviously, Simon is, obviously a comedic character. He's really vain and whatever. But I'd like to see someone more serious take his place.
Who you got?
Let's get Samus in there.
Okay, so we have Samus Aran from Dread, I would assume. From
Dread, yes, a grittier one, yes.
All the progression. So you got Samus Aran in there. You have to have Saint Tristan of Obara replacing Kevin.
My high school Letterman jacket had an F on it, not an N. So
F for
Captain
F. Captain BS. Captain BS. F. Captain Bullshit comes in.
I love it.
No, but so I would say if we do the female representation, probably a Celeste or Shantae. I would say Shantae. Shantae would have to be in there. Yeah, Shantae's been a bigger character recently.
I think we still keep Captain N, but he's just like middle-aged and like overweight. And still wearing his Letterman jacket and like living in the past. Like those were his prime days. And he went back home after being sucked into Videoland and saving Videoland, but now he has to like save it again because not Mother Brain is back, but who could Dracula is always doing stuff, so why not? Yeah, Dracula, and Simon's not even there to fight Dracula. Samus has to get Dracula now.
And the interesting thing is we have his alternate bad guy, and it's Captain S, but it's not Sega, it's Steam. Captain S is his alternate. Captain S. N. Yeah, because Captain S had an old YouTube channel with the Sega with the part of the normal. I don't remember what the game trailers or whoever. I know it was associated with that guy with the glasses, which is Nostalgia Critic and Angry Video Game Nerd. You got Captain S. Captain Sega. But we'll have Captain Steam.
Captain Steam.
That way it's the digital versus the physical.
I like it. And then the last one is Kid Icarus we have to get rid of.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Kid Icarus one could be a Celeste. It could be something like that. Because you got to think about like what big games there are too.
Yeah, that have come out since.
That have a mascot or a character representation as well. Because for example, you could have another strong character. You could literally have Kratos in there or something like that as a
Kirby would be some pretty like comedic relief and plus very versatile. I mean, like he could save so many situations in the show. Yeah. Just by eating something and turning into whatever he needed to turn into.
Kirby would be in there. So, yeah, Kirby sounds like a win right there.
Okay, we got the new Captain S team.
Captain N, and then the Captain S would be the bad guys.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yeah, Captain N.
And it wouldn't be bad guys. It would be more like the other good guys that are, alternative and cool, like Kratos and other characters that would be in there. So you'd have just like main, and they'd all be kind of more mainstream and bland instead of like Nintendo style caricatures. You'd have main protagonist from Cyberpunk, like random characters like You got a Starfield. You're gonna be a spaceship guy comes in, and it's like,
oh, it could be done.
And it changes episode to episode, or it's just some random like, who's this now? Oh, this is from the major blockbuster game. Oh, we were playing that last week, and now it's gone. That's how people are now. We're a fickle bunch. Where you have people talking about and about all these games like Sonic Superstars, and now all of a sudden nobody's talking about it again. They move on to the next thing, and it's like,
Kevin, Indie World needs saving.
Indie World, yes, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's a good bullshit topic. Our own captain and team. So by the way, another thing in the news, we had talked about a few weeks ago the Atari 2600 Plus, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
My wife said she saw it at Costco.
Really?
Now, I'm not sure if it's this version or if it's just another Atari clone that she saw, because I was not with her, so I cannot claim on her video game.
Well, I mean, that kind of lines up because, dude, Slope's Game Room got a 2600 Plus to review, and he put it up yesterday. A video up yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah.
Friend of the podcast, Daniel Slope. Daniel Everson, DJ Slope. DJ Daniel. But yeah, it's good stuff. Like, my thing is, though, is that with having an analog pocket, I have no reason to get any type of modern emulation machine. I'd rather get a retro console that plays it perfectly.
Yeah. There are all these platforms that are kind of vying for this weird void space. They want to be like the end all be all when it comes to like indie games and an emulation machine and like an all-in-one kind of thing where Xbox Series S tried to kind of be for a little bit.
Yeah.
But like the Atari 2600 Plus, you know, obviously they're trying to like lean on their Atari franchises in order to get in people's living rooms or game rooms nowadays.
Well, the interesting piece is that, you know, they had also bought Atari Age, so they have the whole aftermarket scene.
I forgot about
on
that.
Atari Age, and then they have that storefront, so you can buy new Atari games. But the interesting piece is that they're opening themselves up to a lot of user error, because imagine if I go to the swap meet and buy $1 Atari games, and they're all corroded as hell, and I put them into my new 2600 Plus cartridge. It doesn't work, Atari, and they say it doesn't work. And then you're literally having to troubleshoot old tech from the 80s.
Sure.
Like I don't see that being fun, because either they're just going to tell people that they just can't help you, and then you have an angry person, or they're spending hours on the phone trying to fix something, or on a tech support channel.
Well, and not only that, I mean, yeah, they've obviously got a storefront, right? But I mean, like, how much are they asking you to pay for combat? Right?
Yeah.
What, $1, $2? At that point, it's not worth the hassle.
How much does Limited Run Games charge you for all their games that they republished? And it was like $60 to $100 for those games.
Yeah, they were.
Which is insane, because again, not, you know, dogging anything that they're doing, but like doing reproductions of physically licensed games, to me, seems like missing the point.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not going to pay more than $1 or $2 for combat. There's millions and millions of copies out there, so, like, there's no way.
Well, let's call it a spade here. When it comes to Atari, they've tried to keep themselves relevant, kind of like Madonna does. Like, hey, look at me, and try and, I don't know. They're putting all this stuff out there and trying to keep relevant in like a space where they haven't been relevant in years.
Yeah. And
sorry, Madonna, I just don't think you are. But
Atari 2600 Plus is the Madonna video game console.
Anyway. But yeah, anytime they pull a stunt like that, like, you know, selling a new Atari game for $100, it's a bridge too far for most retro gamers.
I mean, I'm not even interested in the republishing of generally available or mediocre, technically, titles like the Jurassic Park series recently. There's a million versions, Game Boy, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Like, I rented those as a kid. They were cool for a weekend rental. I own a lot of those as I've bought them for a couple bucks, but buying a new version. And I even think that the color they use for the cartridge is like orange or something. And it's just like, to me, number one, doesn't look like it belongs with the Super Nintendo. And then number two is that the games, they're not like stellar IPs.
No. And I mean, we can kind of talk about I Am 8-Bit and how they did, like, what was it, Mega Man 2, Mega Man X, and Street Fighter 2? Those didn't really need to exist either, did they? I mean,
did they also do the Return of the Double Dragon as well?
Maybe.
Somebody did that.
I don't remember.
So, yeah, which was the Japanese version of Super Double Dragon that fixed a bunch of issues that were in the original release.
That one's kind of cool, and I can see a merit in that. But just re-releasing like brand new, a collector's edition of a game that came out and sold millions, it's weird. It's weird to me.
Well, and it's funny is like they did that like years ago, right? Like a couple years ago.
That wasn't recently.
And you know what's funny though is you see that, and then like Limited Run Games is like, hold my beer. Like, I'm going to take that. I'm going to raise that to the next level. And it's like, the thing that I do love, though, is that it's allowed indie developers to get supported. So, like, for example, though, on the other side, Limited Run has Skate Cat up there for physical pre-order.
Skate Cat, yeah.
Which is awesome because you're highlighting games that were not commercially available.
Yes.
And then there was one, I think it was Fangamer, not I Am 8-Bit, but it was Holy Diver got a US release.
Yeah, I like that. See, that is cool because that's the first time that it's ever been, truly available for purchase for us. Too. Yeah, great packaging.
I mean, it was like super high quality. I loved that release. Like that one was awesome. And
no disrespect for stuff like that. Like it's got that's got merit all day long in my book.
So there's pros and there's cons to both sides. It's like I don't want to see the retail stuff coming back out, but if they do push out like a Dracula X in the US on the Turbo, I'm down. I like that too. Getting Rondo Blood US version, I'm okay with that because it has an official translation on there that's approved by Konami.
But I don't need a re-release of A Boy and His Blob on Game Boy. Sorry, guys.
No. I don't want any of that. And that's the other piece is we're both with premium edition games, and they're only doing homebrew right now, which is, I want to say, that's hopefully the goal going forward. I don't like seeing anything but brand new indie developers getting supported.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not much on the reproductions or the like if it's a new translation, I'm down. I mean, heck, if you know my background, Tristan, I did the Mother 3 physical release that I just did a small version for Nintendo Age. I didn't do like this massive make it available online. I got approval from Fangamer, which is the guys who made the translation to Tomato Team. Got approval for them to use it and be able to sell it at auction at the Nintendo Age campout in 2012. So I did a small release, and then I did a small non-big box release for the website, and that's it. And then people had went crazy, replicated it, made it way better quality because I did it all by hand back in the day. But I wanted a physical copy of the game that I could play in my Game Boy Advance.
And it's so funny, dude, because I mean, you and I have that in common. You did it way before I ever started doing it, but around 2015, I started doing reproductions also of like Saturn games that I wanted in my collection that had been like patched. Like Police Knots I did, and I did a whole bunch of like shoot 'em ups. I did Symphony of the Night or Nocturne in the Moonlight, the Saturn version.
Yeah.
I actually reached out to the person who did the translation and got their permission to do a run of those games. So, and I had no idea that you had done any of that stuff. You had no idea that I had done any of that stuff. But, I've actually worked with John Miller on a few of releases myself, like games or Retro Game Challenge 2, which turns out you're a huge fan of. So, I mean, we got these things in common. We're both passionate about making stuff that we want. We just want to make cool shit.
Yeah.
Just like you say.
Exactly. And it's been super crazy being able to make the fun stuff going forward, and now being a part of the actual community has been awesome. Being legit, as it may say, has been
legitimate releases, actually recognized by Nintendo and
like licensed
whatnot.
releases by Nintendo and Sony. Yeah. And then,
speaking of, We just got a notification that something's shipping.
Yes, we did. So we've been waiting on a printer because we make dog tags in-house for pre-orders. And so now the printer has been fixed. So the dog tags are being made. So we are shipping pre-orders for the RetroAware duology, Tristan.
Yeah. We got Eagle Island Twist, which also includes the original Eagle Island, and Love 3.
Exactly. And those games are awesome. And RetroAware will have their own version as well that they had asked for, which will be less fancy. It'll be more bare bones, but it's still going to have the same interior inside the Switch case, which includes the manual and the challenge card. And you can still qualify for the challenge if you do the challenge inside that game. But they wanted a bare bones version, which is completely fine. And they're going to, I think, put it up for Black Friday up on Amazon, which hopefully will be on Amazon as well. That's up to our team to get it up there.
But if you get the retro edition of Eagle Island Twist, yours truly wrote a strategy guide, a mini strategy guide for it. That's pretty freaking awesome. So
pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that in my hands, big time.
Exactly. Like that's a really, really cool version. And then we also, it's still in assembly because we do assembly in-house. The Raji Collector's Editions have arrived.
Yes.
And that includes a giant art book that we were both intimately involved with the creation of, more than we should have been, but that's okay. It is what it is. We want it to look good. And the thing is, that box looks even better in person than it did in the digital mock-up.
I can't wait to see it.
Looks so good. Like so impressed with the way
it
turned out. But yeah, that's the fun thing on the creation side is we get to work on all these books and we're working on game releases at the same time. The other thing that I heard is the last update for Super Dungeon Maker may be getting applied.
Oh, I was just thinking about that today.
And so that'll be something during the Christmas time that we'll have to put the finishing touches on because I know Wife Quest has been done. We're waiting on Super Dungeon Maker. We're going to do a combo, get it in production. And I know we got a little design work to do for Super Dungeon Maker. But because of the way that we work, we have to get the patch. We have to play it. We have to apply it.
Well, yeah, I can't make a strategy guide or an instruction manual for a game that's not complete. So, what I mean?
There's a second playable character.
Yeah.
And it's not the rooster.
Oh, it's not the rooster.
It is, from what I'm tracking, it's a knight. You get to play as a knight to go through.
Does he wear green?
And you get a knight. I don't know if he wears green, Tristan, but he definitely is a knight. Unfortunately, and I'm still trying to get the developers to do it, they did not add touchscreen yet to the Switch version. Which to me, when you're creating dungeons, the touchscreen on the Steam Deck makes it so much better. Which is why
dude.
It's so I want the Switch one to be the ultimate version, and there's been an internal back and forth, but I'm not the developers, so we will make recommendations, and Josh and Barry have been on all those meetings, so I mean, to those listeners who feel like you have no power here. If you guys feel passionately enough that you think that it needs touch controls or whatever quality of life features that you can think of, reach out to us, and we have a direct line to those developers, so we can let them know what you guys are saying. Exactly. You get enough people that say it, then they're gonna make it happen. Because I think they had a choice between more content or adding the features, and they went for more content, is what the digital publishers did. But that wasn't anything to do with the physical publishers. So it is fun, though.
Can't wait.
Oh,
can't wait.
Goodness. So, shall we talk about our bullshit homework?
Yes, we shall.
Nice. So, this time, the random roulette pulled up a game called Deathstate, Tristan. Deathstate was developed and published by Bread Machine Games.
Bread Machine Games.
And it was awesome because it was released on October 19th of 2015, so it was right around birthdays, which is awesome. But 2015, so the game is 8 years old right now.
All right.
It's called an action roguelike. We had talked about on the episode that we thought it was going to be like more like Vampire Survivors, and it is not. It's more like Demon's Tier Plus in actuality, which is super cool. So I'll lay a little wallpaper, and then we'll talk about like how much we've played and our experiences. Deathstate is a roguelike bullet hell single stick shooter set in a bizarre world of dimensional exploration. You play as a number of unique characters trying to discover the fate of Professor Eilenberg, who opened a portal to the void. Great and terrible mysteries and even greater treasures await if you are bold or foolhardy enough to go beyond the beyond. And there, it talks about like the bizarre world of Deathstate. You're a traveler of the outer realms. You have discovered the secrets of deep astral projection by entering into a fully death-like meditative state. While in your death state, you go beyond the beyond to realms previously only imagined by those enlightened or mad enough to dwell upon them. Tread lightly, though, for these far planes of demi-existence that you choose to explore are extremely hostile to mortal souls. And then it goes on to features. But so yeah, this one we came upon randomly in the what's up on my Steam Deck. Feel like it was an excellent one. So what are your thoughts on it, Tristan?
I really enjoyed it, and I couldn't quite put my finger on how to describe the controls, but I don't know if you were like reading that straight off of something, but single stick shooter, perfect way of putting it. Single stick, because twin stick, you're usually like aiming where you're going to shoot.
And so like the shots come automatically when you get in vicinity of an enemy. And then the other piece is you also use the second stick to dodge. Yeah. And so
I didn't quite get used to the dodge mechanic because it's really quick. It's really quick. It has a really quick recharge as well. So I didn't really see I honestly, a lot of the time I forgot I even had a dodge. Whereas like in something like Enter the Gungeon, the dodge is really, really important and prevalent. You can get away with not dodging in this one. At least I did, because I hardly used it. But I really liked, I played 4 different levels. And the progression of difficulty as you go along, with the enemies, obviously, you're going to run into some bosses eventually, which I did. And it's pretty challenging. And, don't tell Demon's Tier Plus this, but I wish we would have had this one instead. I enjoyed this one so much more. We
can always sign this one in the future.
This one's so good to me, man. I really like this one.
So when you said that you did 4 levels, was that 4 run-throughs? Or did you just get through?
Oh yeah, 4 run-throughs. Yes, because I made it so far. There was one boss that I died on. I can't even remember. I fought the boss last, right after we recorded last week. So I don't remember what boss it was. But right before we recorded here, I did the 4th playthrough. And I was at a boss whenever you said that you were ready, so I just kind of quit. But it's so much fun, man. Like it's such.
One of the fun bosses was there's this one where you're fighting 4 different colors of a boss and they're magic and they all shoot bullet hell stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
And then as you kill them, you kill all 4, and then they
combine
one giant boss.
Yes.
So the interesting piece is, in true roguelike fashion, as you play through, there are random drops from enemies. There's random drops from different treasure chests, and then there's stuff that you can buy throughout each run. And
don't they call them organs? Like you eat the organs or something like that?
Well, and there's a head, a chest, a scrotum, and a stomach that you can get all the organ pieces for.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure when you get one, it just replaces it. It doesn't allow you to toggle.
Yeah, it doesn't stack.
No. But if you pause it with the select button, I don't think it's the pause button, but the select button, it actually shows all the different stuff that you have. And my first run through, though, was pretty OP. Like, it was pretty overpowered. And I got to the first world, then the second world, and I got to the boss of the second world and died.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't make it past the second world, but I wasn't exactly trying either. I was just trying to like put the game through its paces and see what kind of complete everything and make sure I didn't miss anything.
Did you unlock any characters?
I did not. No.
So I unlocked this Scarface dude my first playthrough. When I got there, I unlocked this Scar dude, and his the difference is that they seem very similar because you start with a girl, and I think it's the X button does their little attack, and he has a different explosion attack, and then as you collect items, you get a second attack that you can collect that's usually like an orb or something that follows you around. It does a second attack, and then there's 2 different weapon modifiers, which is freaking wild, and those stack in unique ways. So you have your shot, which always goes, and you can upgrade that, and then like I got this sword, and the sword does like the sword thing all around me.
Sick.
On top of it, then it got a laser, and I had lasers that were honing in, and I didn't realize that there would be like worse progression or better progression, so I replaced the laser with something else, and it sucked.
Oh no, yeah.
The laser was all. Now I got to the second world with the lasers. Now, did you also unlock the second route?
No.
So essentially, you'll see it at the beginning. There's like maps.
Yeah.
World 1, World 2. Well, you can start in World 1 Bravo instead of World 1 Alpha.
No, if I did, I didn't notice.
And so
I'll just say that.
I want to say I did 5 or 6 playthroughs, but I unlocked a lot during that first overpowered run.
Okay.
The second world, though, I played through it as the dude. And it's like there's different enemies and it's different unlock stuff, but it's always similar. You play 3 levels, 3 iterations of a level, and then a boss fight. Still do that for each one. I don't think I beat the boss of the. Oh no, I did beat the boss of the 1 Bravo, and then it took me back to the regular World 2. I didn't get to the World 2 Bravo, so you might have to unlock them in the original world to get it unlocked. But very interesting that there's like a bunch of different unlocks that you haven't seen, a bunch of different wild pieces you haven't seen.
Did you?
But the second time I went to that alternate world, I was with the girl, and then there was these zombies that were popping in. It was like Zombie World.
Oh wow!
And so like I'm playing, you're fighting your enemies, and all of a sudden every once in a while it's like this big 3D, and it's like a zombie pops up, and there's a ton, and they're overpowered as shit. And they kill you. What was your question, Tristan?
I was gonna say, did you come across an altar at all while you were playing through?
Did you pick up the book from the altar and they give you?
Yeah, you desecrate the altar.
Oh, there's 2 different altars. So there's the altar with the book, which you can grab a book and it gives you extra power.
Oh then, yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about. No, I randomly came across an altar and it says, "Do you want to desecrate it?"
And you fight Cthulhu.
Yeah, I want to desecrate it.
And Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Did you beat Cthulhu?
No, that was the one that I was fighting whenever you said that you were ready to podcast.
So to me,
I was whooping its ass.
Well, to me, Cthulhu, desecrating the altar, it's available on the first level. It gets you an auto power up immediately, which is nice. So it gets you some kind of modifier to either power up your shot or power up something. There's one thing that I did notice is each iteration. So you got 3 levels and a boss, 3 levels and a boss. I think I got to the second or the third, or maybe the boss of the second one. All the enemies continually get stronger. So if you don't upgrade your character with the attack, you're gonna struggle as you go through because you have to do a lot of dodging.
Yeah.
And so I definitely desecrated the altar. I think it unlocks after the first playthrough. As it's not on the original playthrough, it wasn't unlocked. But dude, the game is really fun. It's super casual, super chill. You want to die a lot. Let me see what I wrote in my notes because I did write some notes down last week when I played. I played as 2 characters. One, and this is what happened in my second playthrough. I transformed into a demon.
Oh.
Like the dude turned into this giant demon. I think it's just a power-up modifier. But he turned into a super overpowered demon going through. And it was awesome.
Was it like a couple of power-ups combined? It was like a synergy or just a power-up that you picked up that turned you... Okay.
I don't think I know enough about the game yet to know if it was like a double combo or if it was literally just a demon power up. Because one would think if you're consuming and adding all these body parts, if you do all 4 in a certain way, maybe it does something.
Well, that's my favorite thing about the Binding of Isaac is like the way different items interact with each other and synergize. And so if this game has synergies, that excites me a lot.
Well, and I love the pick up and play mentality.
Dude, you can totally pick this game up and just play anytime.
When we were playing Project Starship X, it like was good for short bursts. This game is good for short bursts, even though I tend to play this longer than I did Project Starship X. Like I'm sitting there playing, and I'm playing it for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Like it's a long playthrough. I also feel like you're gonna have to grind and play a little harder before you get some real serious unlocks. It doesn't seem like you're getting like powered up quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like so that I think it's going to be a little grindy as you replay stages.
Gungeon is the same way.
Yeah. So I wrote down different weapons that change your attack. I had a cool ass laser that was like literally crushing people. There is character magic attack and then a second magic attack, as we mentioned. The right stick does a dash, which I haven't mastered, which is true. Tons of treasure chests. There's 4 parts to each level with the boss at the end. Can get past the first boss, no issues. Have 2 runs and have not made it past the second boss at that point when I was on my second run. I didn't even get to the second boss after that again, though. The different paths have different enemies and bosses. And there are permanent upgrades, too, for that run only. So that like you get permanent upgrades as you go between each one, but they don't like hold over, but they're unlocked, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Collecting money also allows you to buy items and weapons. I did the random chest and I never got anything but money once. I never got crap from the random chest. And then there's also these potion modifiers. And I think the potions, which you press with the B button, I don't think that they were labeled. I think they're random on each run, so each color potion. So I had one that was like a blue orange one, I had one that's a red one, that's a clear one. There's a bunch of potions. I don't know if you mess with the potions at all.
No, I didn't.
I think like one's like I feel magically charged. One is I feel sludge and it turns slow and it's like bullet time, everything, but the enemies are moving fast but you're moving slow and you could weave, but they're all still moving fast as shit, and you're like, but you're able to like kind of carve a little bit, like a carve button on a shoot 'em up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like we've only just scratched the surface.
Which in a game like that, that's fun from the get go. It's going to be fun. I always compare it to The Binding of Isaac because I'm just such a huge fan of that game. That game was fun in the first hour I played it, and it's fun in the 1,000th hour I've played it. That's just because of all the content, and I feel like this one's probably got a lot of content.
Yeah, I feel like it's not as gross as Binding of Isaac, but there is a bunch of horror tropes and sci-fi tropes.
Yeah.
Because there's even something when I was going through the level, and the one that you use for the background here, I was going through that level, and then there was like a little face that I saw in the top right corner. It says press the A button to activate something. I pressed the A button and it activated something. I don't know what it activated. I never found out what it did. It might be something that happens in multiple levels that you have to find, and then once you get to the end, maybe it unlocks a different level or something. I don't know. But there's definitely some complexities to this game, some secrets to find, which are the best when you're playing a roguelike that you play multiple playthroughs through the same levels.
Yeah.
Still, though, your favorite's Binding of Isaac. My favorite roguelike is a robot named Fight.
Yeah.
Like, by far.
Completely different games. And one's you could call it a Metroidvania, and the other one's a twin stick shooter.
Yeah. I like Robot Named Fight more than Dead Cells, too. Which Dead Cells is great, too, though. That's an awesome one. But, this one for top down, this is one of the best ones I've played.
Especially for a random pick.
Yeah.
We've been getting some doozies, man. It's good stuff.
Well, so if Binding of Isaac is S tier for you, and Demon's Tier Plus is probably like a B, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a solid B title. Where does this fit in? Does this fit into the A minus for you? Where is it at?
It feels like an A minus to me so far. It might get demoted. I don't think it's not going to go into like solid A ever, but it might get demoted to B plus if it doesn't live up to my expectations right now. I will be playing this more.
Yeah, this is going to be in the rotation. I'm gonna throw it in my favorites in my backlog. I'm gonna put it in there so that every once in a while I'll just pop it on. Ironically, I played Robot Named Fight this morning a little bit. I played a playthrough and I got to the there's a section where it's like frozen area and you fight a giant frozen version of one of the other bosses and it kicked my butt. And I haven't played it in a long time, a long time. But this is in my rotation now. So this is an A minus, and the grindy feeling that I'm dreading, if that goes away, it could elevate itself. It just depends on the power-ups, the unlocks, and if it's truly random every single run, or there's a little bit of controllability to things. If you can control a little bit of it and like maybe like gauge in your progression as you play hundreds of hours or something, then I think it'll unlock a little more fun aspects to me. But it really just depends on what unlocks, because if it's as it currently is, it'll be an A minus, maybe a B plus in the future if it's super grindy.
Yeah, I feel like it has the potential of going down in my eyes, but I'm not giving it more than an A minus. I just, unless it turns into a completely different game, and I'm like, what the, no, I don't think so.
Yeah,
it's an A minus to me.
I have a good VGBS question for you, Tristan, after we've talked our homework, because obviously we're playing Super Mario RPG for the next homework. Like, that's what's happening. In a couple days, Mario RPG comes out. So one thing I had done at my old hagensalley.wordpress.com, which that website is up and running again. I actually have all the redirects gone, so the blog is back to, it's just a classic blog. I'm not updating anything. It's just as a historical piece. I had initially put all the games that we had played for Bullshit Homework up there. Initially, I was doing perler beads for everyone and all that stuff
cool.
that we were playing, which was fun. But my question for you is, we are book dudes. Shall we do a VGBS?
Oh, a BS homework book.
Chronicles.
I would fucking love that. Oh my gosh, dude.
Start that, and I'll do it in my Culture Chronicles or the Metroidvania Chronicles style. So it's going to be bullshit homework, and we're going to talk the good, the bad, all of them. And I think we'll just start from when we started back up. I will create a historical one as well as a tribute to Kyle. But I think us doing it and kind of doing our notes sooner than later. We don't want to get a season or two behind, but actually having in there Tristan's feedback, Jeff's feedback, like our feedback on the games, and whether we went back to it too, because there's going to be some time. So I think,
damn you and your good ideas.
Hey, we did VGBS Season 1 on Nintendo cartridge with all the synopsis of every episode on it, which was
I don't think I ever mentioned this. Maybe I did. But I actually went back. I found, and I have no idea what search on eBay brought it up, but I found that cart of VGBS, like that Nintendo cart on eBay, and I purchased it. Nice. So I have a copy of that, and I haven't put it in my NES. I think I will, but what a cool little artifact, especially being part of this thing now. And
the thing that's cool about it is that it started with a choose your own adventure style backbone that Bunny Boy from Retro USB had created. And I worked with Teppels, which Teppels and Memblers are the two NES homebrew creators. They're the guys, they're the godfathers. They're the ones that created
Memblers I've heard of. The other one I've never heard of.
Teppels is also the other one. And Teppels had helped me reprogram that into something that has a artistic piece to it. So you can select music and go through everything. So that it's essentially the menu system could be a choose your own adventure game. But it goes through the menu system. The music's created by a bunch of homebrew legends. Really awesome music in there. And then they helped, Teppels also helped get all the actual art from like Kyle and I onto the NES and the logos and all that stuff in there too. We kept it pretty general, but it's still super cool. And then we put all the backers from the Kickstarter in there as well.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah. It was just a super fun little project, something that's never been done before in that way, is categorizing. It's literally like a little like mini collector's cartridge, a collector's guide of the episodes. It's a piece of time. But yeah, so I think doing a bullshit homework book,
100% on board.
I think that'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So yeah, there you go. And listeners, hit us up wherever. You can shoot us a message on social media or get in our Discord and make us use Discord because we never do it. Or hit us in the Hagens Alley Facebook page because that's also somewhere that we don't utilize as much as we could. Because again, working active duty army, I only have so much time in the day right now. Can't really push all the social medias. I mean, like what I'll do is I'll
got no excuse.
You're working on 3,000 pages.
Well, I guess I have one excuse. I have 2,400 excuses.
Yeah, you're almost at 3,000 pages, dude. That's insane. So we all have excuses. I mean, I'm working on, my end portion of my military career. So as that winds down, once I move, then I'll have time to dig in and we'll have some fun. Because I got a bunch of other cool ideas and fun stuff as I go around and do conventions as a guest and all that. I got ideas to have fun. And we're just going to create the damn legacy. Like you were saying, this is why we do video game bullshit, is to kind of document time and place. This is the time where we might have a bullshit homework book.
Love it.
Yep. And
absolutely,
I still
love it.
A whole nother project I'm working on that I haven't announced too at the same time. And there's a million of them. But the bullshit homework one, we can literally just do it in conjunction with the end of a season or something.
Sure.
Because if it's like, and it could be bookazine, because if it's 25 games, not necessarily 25 games, but 25 episodes, I think that's
I can't believe it's almost been 25 episodes since we started podcasting. I missed a couple of them, where you had like guests on.
Yeah, but Kevin came on after Kyle's passing and everything. Kevin was able to come on and talk, which ironically, I still have to talk about. He challenged me to play Doom Eternal, and I still haven't had him back on because he's been busy as shit.
Yeah.
I think he was alluding to it, but I'm assuming by now they've announced that they're having another child. So, so that popped up.
Well,
yeah,
kids.
So that he got super, super busy, but we definitely got to have Kevin on to talk Doom Eternal, and how I played it and why I haven't went back because so much other shit going on, dude.
Yep. And you said at the beginning of the episode, we didn't record yesterday because both of us were feeling under the weather. You probably noticed I've muted my microphone a few times just to cough. I don't want to cough in your guys' ear, but I'm still getting over this, whatever it is.
And I'm just old.
Yeah, he's just old.
Not podcast topic, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not like you're only 7 days older than I am.
Yeah.
I guess those 7 days make a difference.
I mean, we could talk off episode, but see how old you are. But no, it's super, super fun doing the episodes, man. And we'll this right here, if you already have this format, the little upgrade, mid-episode upgrade, you'll have to do a transition.
Hey, we just needed a reason to do it, and Skype forced our hand, I think. So
it did. It was being a pain in the butt, and I don't know if it's something within my computer, if it's because we moved the internet over, but I went to the internet, so I think it's something to do with my computer or just Skype itself. Might be causing problems.
What's awesome is, if we ever do have guests along with us, I mean, dude, we can have as many as 8 people in this.
That's crazy.
Craziness. So that's
crazy.
I don't know if we want to try that, but we have the ability if we want to.
I mean, in the future, I'd like to have on, some of the developers of the games that we're working with Premium and all that stuff. And I mean, we know a lot of people, so I mean, I'd have on whoever to talk about their stuff. I mean, that's why we had Slope on there. There was one week that you weren't available, and back when Coffin was recording, when he wasn't available, and I recorded with Daniel Ibbotson, little Slope, DJ Slope, and that was fun. Yeah, we just did some little fun stuff, but yeah, I like the little format's clean. It's simple. We just change out the background to be whatever we're playing.
Yeah, this cool little ticker down here to tell people, like, you know, if they jump into a random spot in the video podcast, they'll know what we're talking about. Although we haven't talked about Super Mario RPG Remake yet, and I kind of jumped the gun, but whatever.
Well, and we'll not transition the ticker every time, but
sure.
It'll but yeah, so we are going to be playing the Super Mario RPG Remake.
I can't wait.
I pre-ordered it at GameStop, which I don't usually pre-order because they had a pin set that I'm going to get. So I'll have to show off whatever the pin set is. Now, when it comes to Super Mario RPG, are we going to do a couple episodes with it, or are we going to wait until we get to a point where we need to talk about it? Because
I anticipate dude, there's no way I'm not going to talk about it next week.
Yeah.
Like when we record, I'm going to be so like just bursting to talk about it. There's no way. Like, you know, obviously, and from what I've heard, it's a pretty true remake. Like, there's no spoilers that we could do, because if you played the original, then you've played the story for the second one. So I hear. There are going to be some surprises, I'm sure, as far as like mechanics go, and maybe some humor. So we'll try and be spoilery free as much as possible, but we'll have plenty to talk about anyway. And I really want to.
Like, listeners can correct me if I'm wrong, but this might be the first game that we've done the original as a video game bullshit episode back in the day, and now the remake.
That's cool.
As a new one, which would be cool. Now, because we have a few days in between, I do have a game that I recommend that I'll talk about next week. That I'm playing on my Nintendo Switch. It's called Save Me, Mr. Taco. T-A-K-O.
Save Me, Mr. Taco.
Yep. It was released physically by Limited Run Games. That's the definitive edition. It has Game Boy aesthetics, but it is a platformer. You play as a little squid, little octopus guy, and you shoot stuff. And it plays.
Taco, like takoyaki.
Takoyaki.
I get it.
Exactly. What's cool though is that it has different abilities in the form of hats that you can have that change the way you shoot. So initially you shoot a little ink pellet, but then you can get like an arrow or other stuff. So I was playing it a little bit this morning. And I also did some retro game roulette that I was playing last night on my Steam Deck. Nothing really crazy. There's a lot of games I'm going to delete actually, but I was doing budget titles.
Sure.
I was doing budget titles on my Steam Deck. So I was just sitting there after I had finished doing formatting for the Metroidvania Chronicles, and I'm like, all right, let me play some games. But I'm going to play some Save Me, Mr. Taco until Super Mario RPG comes out. And right now, at the time of this recording, it's Monday, so I got about 4 days that I can maybe play after work or whatever. I might jump in and play some levels, because levels are short. It reminds me of old school Kirby. So like Game Boy Kirby. Yeah. So to me, I'm going to play through and see how far I get before Mario RPG obsesses and takes over my life.
So Mario RPG kind of reminded me of this get together that I had, that little like game tournament I was talking about that I had this past week on Saturday.
You got to come up with a name for these game tournaments, by the way. You literally had a trophy. What's the name?
Yeah, whatever. But anyway, I played a game on Super Nintendo I'd never played before. That you might be surprised that I never played. I really enjoyed it. It's actually a really fun game. I never knew. Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
You've never played Zombies Ate My Neighbors?
I had never played it before. I'd never seen it before.
Holy cow.
I mean, I knew about it. I'd never seen what the game was actually about.
Oh, Zombies Ate My Neighbors is excellent. Like, and I love playing.
Yeah, it's really good.
Back in the day, I used to play the Sega Genesis version with Kyle over at the Stabbin' Cabin, over at his cabin.
Yeah.
We used to play the original. And then later on, when I got back into collecting after deployment and got my collection back, I actually came across a copy of Ghoul Patrol. And that's the sequel to Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Oh,
I didn't realize that was a sequel. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Not as good as the Super Nintendo Zombies Ate My Neighbors. And the Super Nintendo one is, in my opinion, the better version versus Genesis versus Super Nintendo.
I mean, yeah, I grew up a Genesis kid, so yeah, I was aware of that game. But the game that I played, that I assumed it was kind of more of the same. I played The Haunting by with Poltergeist.
Oh, way different. Yeah.
Yeah, way different.
Way different.
But in my head, for some reason, I thought it was like the same kind of thing. So
now, Zombies Ate My Neighbors is classic overhead action. You get lots and lots of little like power ups and stuff. You go collect the neighbors before the zombies and enemies kill them, and then it opens up a door and you go to the next level. And as you get further on, there's horror tropes like the chainsaw wielding maze guy that looks like Jason Voorhees and Leatherface combined that chases you down, or the giant baby.
I didn't see the giant baby. I saw the chainsaw guy.
Yeah, chainsaw guys, and then you got the little guys, the little
Chucky dudes,
demonic Chucky dolls. Yeah,
so many horror tropes. Like it's just all over the place.
I love that game. I love that game. It's such a classic. It's like my bread and butter. Not great at it though, but it would be fun to play that game with unlimited lives.
But yeah, one of my friends, that came over, he knew that I had never played the game, so he's like, make sure you have a Super Nintendo set up. So I hooked it up to my retro tank and everything like that. So I had it on my OLED, we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun with that.
Now that is a game that was also released physically on Nintendo Switch. I think it was through Limited Run. They did
I didn't know that.
Double pack of Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol on one cartridge, which I just think is a 1-to-1 port using their engine. But super, super cool that is preserved, because that's where I always say Nintendo Switch goes from, Pong all the way to modern games, being able to play stuff. And that's a perfect example. You got Super Nintendo era games ported on physical Switch cartridge, which is awesome.
Is that the Fusion engine?
It might be the Fusion engine, which is MVG, Modern Retro.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
MVG, was it Modern Video Gamer? I can't remember the guy's actual moniker, but he's MVG on
MVG.
YouTube. Yeah. And
Modern Vintage Gamer, I think it is.
Vintage Gamer, yeah. And so the Zombies Ate My Neighbors Limited Run was the expanded edition that they got criticism on because their collector's edition came with a squirt gun, and it was like a cheap knockoff Chinese squirt gun.
Oh, missed opportunity.
Because the squirt gun in the game is actually a squirt gun. So,
yeah.
But yeah, they didn't do a high quality branded one or anything. It was just like a little cheap knockoff, and so they got criticized for that. So, but that was I got just the cartridge or the normal version. But
that's cool.
Super cool. But yeah, so there is ways to play out on modern consoles, and I have a feeling that once I'm back stateside, we're gonna have to do like a quarterly game meet or something.
Yeah, I mean, so many of you guys are going to be in Florida, and it'll just give me a reason to go out there.
Yeah. Well, and it's just we'll do a game meetup, and then listeners they want to come out, or fans of the book.
That'd be a lot of fun, man.
Premium, we just do a quarterly. Maybe we call it a quarterly SWAT meet or game meetup, or
we can meet up at Ricky's Chicken in Hollywood, Florida,
with Billy Mitchell.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hey, dude. But the thing is, it'd be super cool, man.
Yeah,
it'd be super cool.
By the way, I hate that I like this.
Prime.
It's delicious.
I haven't tried the red.
No, it's good.
It was on sale, so I didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go for the low sugar stuff, so I'll probably try some Prime.
There's it's no sugar.
Yep. It's right in my wheelhouse. It's just on the island, they had the sour lemonade ghosts that are out of stock now, so I won't get them.
Oh, you mean that one right there?
I don't see it in the screen, but yeah.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, it's a little bit higher. There.
Oh, is that a sour?
Yeah, it's the sour lemonade. Okay. A whole stack of them.
Yeah, they're out of stock out here. And then there's another one that's apparently the strips, like sour strips or something.
Oh, shoot. Dude, I've been waiting. I want to try that one. I can't find it anywhere. I think that's GNC exclusive or something.
Well, it was GNC exclusive and it was limited, so I think they're out.
Boo.
Apparently they were delicious and they sold out immediately. Boo. Even out here, they got a few. But yeah, energy drink connoisseurs, gotta love it. Mm-hmm. Should we put a bow on today's episode? By the way,
yeah, sure.
Cool.
I think we hit all the notes.
Yeah, and we got 27 different videos before we switched over, so that'll be fun. That's only on our side. The listeners won't know the difference.
Yeah, it'll be seamless for you guys, but just know that we had some heartache, some technical difficulties.
I think you need to use like a wavy transition when we move to this newer version.
Oh, easily. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do the Zelda Light World to Dark World. How about that?
Either that or the Zombies Ate My Neighbors when you go from the main screen to the game.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, if you use the Zelda one, use the wow.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Heck yeah. But yeah, like I feel like doing a quarterly swap once I'm retired and out, that'll be fun. Mm-hmm. You know, like, or maybe twice a year even, like whatever.
Dude,
whatever
that's one thing like that I can't harp on enough. You know, gamers stereotypically were reclusive introverts, right? I definitely lean toward introverted. I recharge my energy alone. I don't get energy off of other people. So I'm not an extrovert in any way, shape, or form. But I do love sharing this hobby with other passionate gamers. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much fun. So get yourself out there. If you're a collector and you've got your own freaking little like curated man cave and you keep it to yourself, come on. What are you waiting for? Go find other like-minded people and play some games together. Do some couch co-op.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it is a cool thing, and you know, it depends on how crazy conventions are, but like doing a couple times a year, we do like a get together 2 to 4 times a year, I think would be awesome. It'd be fun. Yeah. And it just gives us excuses, and it won't always be in the same place. Like maybe we're at a convention together and we just make it a swap out there. Sure. And have fun. Like if we're already going to be there, so as we go around, it's going to be crazy, dude. But anyways, definitely look forward to playing some Super Mario RPG. If you have time, Tristan, check out Save Me Mr. Taco.
I will, yeah.
You got time. And we will catch y'all next time.
Later, guys.